Hello again and welcome to another Warrington Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I would like to say a big thank you to Benjamin Schuler for sending in an awesome picture of his Sly Marbo. Really like Sly Marbo. You can't go wrong with, Sly Marbo, Rambo, the one-man army. Just fantastic. I think he's always had pretty flavourful rules. Although he does seem to be, he can be a bit of a tricky one to get to work on the old 9th edition battlefield. I think he just wins Rule of Cool every single time. So thank you for sending this picture in, Ben. Really awesome. If anyone else has got any cool pictures they want me to use in my videos, please post them on my Facebook page or email them to me. And there will be links and emails down in the description below. One last thing to mention is as well, if you are interested in supporting the channel, then I do have a Patreon page, and again, that'll be in the description below. I don't like to make a big deal out of the Patreon thing. I probably mention it maybe once a week at most. Don't want to spam it in every single video because then it sort of takes away from it. But just massive thank you to all my Patreons who have supported me. Honestly, without you guys, the channel wouldn't be anywhere near where it was, and I just really, really appreciate all the support that this community has shown me. So, won't get too mushy or gushy, but, just thanks, guys. Really is appreciated. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Now, today, guys, I want to do another quick tip tactica, and I want to take a look at one of the custom regiments combinations that has been brought to my attention recently, because I think it could actually be quite a nice little backup option. So, my go-to on the custom regiments, and one of the things that I think is, if you're going to go custom, this is the most powerful way of doing it, is to run Wilderness Survivors combined with Disciplined Shooters. Now, Wilderness Survivors is solid. It allows you to count as being in cover, even when you're not in cover. And that means you don't have to worry too much about your deployment or anything like that. You can just slam your guys down, and if they're in cover or they're not in cover, great. You're always going to be on that 4+ save, which, is just invaluable in for guardsmen. I mean, essentially giving yourself a 16% increase in durability against the vast majority of shooting out there. Non-disciplined shooters is good because you get an 18-inch rapid fire, and if you're running a pure infantry army, such as the way I like to run my army, then having an 18-inch rapid fire and everything is really nice. I mean, it is good. However, someone recently made a relatively good argument for me, to me, which was with the 18-inch rapid fire, which is once you've closed the distance and once you're on that, you're fighting over the brawl in the centre, the 18-inch rapid fire isn't as big a deal because you'll probably be within 12 inches because you'll be trying to push for the middle objectives. And I thought, you know what, that's a really good point. And then it was also brought to my attention recently that what you can take instead, so you take Wilderness Survivors, what you can take instead is Spotter Details, which gives all your heavy weapons an extra 6-inch range. Now, as long as they've got a minimum range of 24 inches. So basically anything that's got a 24-inch range or longer and is a heavy weapon will have an extra 6-inch range. And this made me go, actually this has a few implications. I mean, number one, this affects your vehicles as well. So things like Punisher cannons will go up to 30-inch range. So will Demolisher cannons, but Demolishers and Punishers are probably the current meta choices for the Guard because both weapons are good at just slamming either volume of fire or just big old slugs into the units like Death Guard and just overwhelming them, and they are the current meta. But also, they're both just two good solid vehicle loadouts. Multi-melters are strong as well. And you can put multi-melters on every vehicle. And if they're in half range, they'll start doing a minimum of 2 damage plus d6. So all your multi-melters and all your vehicles will be doing that at 15 inches rather than 12 inches. So yeah, melter range is extended. So it does kind of work. And then also it allows, because a lot of the really good Guard weapons are actually only 36-inch range, so things like heavy bolters, really solid choice of a weapon system. Every Guard vehicle comes with them, but if you're playing lengthways, and I have found this, and many people do play on smaller boards, but big board gang is still a legit thing. when I get the opportunity to play games in between lockdowns and whatnot, I'd say 50% of my games are played on big board gang and 50% on small board gang. So it's 50. It's something to take into account. You're not always going to be playing on the smaller board sizes. And let me tell you, you think that 36-inch range is good enough on your heavy bolters or your executioner plasma turrets until the other guy on the other end of the field is running around like a hammerhead, and you're like, damn, I wish I had a 72-inch range. Because when you're thinking that everyone's going to be turning up for 36-inch range firefights and then you are outranged, it is painful. And if you want to see an example of where this really bit me in my ass and caused me to, well, spoiler alert by the way, but bit me in my ass and caused me to lose the game, it was when Psychic Awakening first came out. So it is an 8th edition battle port, so slightly out of date, but you'll get the gist of it. And it was my guard versus Tau on a lengthways battle port, and my tanks were just outranged by the hammerheads. And by the time they got in, they were all gone. And my infantry did as good as, my infantry really pulled their weight, but there's only so much that infantry can do when they're facing down, I think, 3 or 4 hammerheads near the end of the game. So, yeah, having a longer range is really effective. Taking your mortars up to a 54-inch range is really nice. That means on small board or big board, you're able to reach out and pretty much kill whoever you want, or at least target whoever you want. Another thing to mention is it means it doesn't lock. The good thing about the spotter details, because we've talked a lot about vehicles, but I know from our recent poll results, guys, in the community tab, keep an eye on the Mordian Glory community tab. We're using that a lot more recently. I know a lot of you have got pure infantry armies or infantry heavy armies, and I have no doubt that might be something to do with what I've been saying the last few years. But think about it this way: you have obviously lasguns in every squad, but if you go for disciplined shooters, it kind of locks you into certain special weapons like plasma guns, and that's it. But if you take spot details instead, it doesn't affect your special weapons, so you don't feel bad for being like, oh, I'll take a flame on my infantry squad, because you're not missing out on anything. And the kind of cheeky meta thing to do to try and stave off the bleed of thin their ranks is to put a heavy weapon team in every squad, because that means a heavy weapon team is only one model. So it actually reduces the amount of thin the rank points that you give away per infantry squad by 10%, by 0.1. They have to kill an extra model. Doesn't seem like a lot, but over the course of a game, can build up. So if you take spot details and you give all your infantry squads heavy weapons, then all those heavy weapons are getting an extra 6-inch range. And you are playing a little bit meta. You're playing a little bit interesting. You've been a bit clever about it. So it definitely is something to consider. So I would say between the two, if you're running long-range bombardment tanks already, so battle cannons and vanquisher cannons. Vanquishers might be making a comeback, guys. Vanquishers might be making a comeback. I'm about to have to think about doing a video on those. I still think they're probably not, but it's something we'll have to consider. But if you're running things like battle cannons and vanquisher cannons for your long range, and you don't really need the extra 6-inch range, and you're running a lot of plasma on your infantry squads, then you would go wilderness survivors and disciplined shooters. But if you're running a lot of things like demolisher tanks and punisher tanks, or even plasma executioner tanks or eradicators, or even exterminators, anything which is less than 72-inch range, and you're rocking multi-melters or heavy bolters, and all your infantry are rocking heavy weapon teams as well, then I definitely think that you want to be considering spotter details. Definitely. Absolutely. So that nice quick tip tactic for you guys. Just always like to throw options out, let you guys be aware of these things, and so you can always go and play some games and explore the options and see if it works for your army. So we'll leave it there, guys, without further ado, and thank you for watching, and of course, I will see you guys next time.